Welcome to The Past Uncovered. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss more videos like this one. This 1865 photograph captures President Abraham Lincoln just days before his assassination. His weary eyes and deeply lined face reveal the immense weight of leading a nation shattered by civil war. The solemn expression hints at the toll of preserving the Union and ending slavery. Shortly before tragedy struck, taken during the Great Depression in 1936, this image shows a migrant mother in California surrounded by her children. Her dust-covered face and haunted eyes speak volumes of desperation, hunger, and resilience amid the crushing poverty that displaced thousands of families across the country. In 1899, Nikola Tesla is photographed inside his New York laboratory, sitting calmly while massive electrical arcs leap wildly around him. This dramatic scene captures the fearless genius experimenting with electricity's raw power, an invisible force he sought to tame and transform into technology that would change the world. This 1945 photo shows Soviet soldiers triumphantly raising their flag atop the Reichstag building in Berlin. The scarred, bullet-ridden facade behind them stands as a grim testament to months of brutal urban warfare. This moment marked the symbolic defeat of Nazi Germany and the closing chapter of a devastating global conflict. A heartbreaking scene from 1900 reveals Native American children at a government boarding school, forced to cut their hair. To these children, hair was sacred. To the authorities, it was a tool for assimilation. The children's downcast eyes and solemn faces speak to a cultural erasure that sought to strip away their heritage and identity. A young soldier in World War I lies slumped and exhausted in a muddy trench. His face, streaked with dirt and fatigue, is a portrait of endless fear and hardship. Around him, tangled barbed wire and broken equipment reflect the hellish conditions endured daily in the trenches, where silence was punctuated only by distant gunfire. This 1923 photograph captures women marching and protesting for their right to vote. Their determined faces and raised fists embody decades of tireless struggle against injustice, a fight that culminated only a few years earlier with the 19th Amendment granting suffrage. Their passion helped reshape society. The streets of San Francisco lay in ruin after the 1906 earthquake and ensuing fires. This photo reveals collapsed buildings, rubble-filled streets, and displaced citizens wandering in shock. The disaster left thousands dead and reshaped one of America's greatest cities, forever changing its skyline and spirit. Captured in 1914, this haunting image shows the exact spot where Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo. A blood-stained car remains parked, silent witness to the single bullet that ignited a global war, sparking a conflict that would engulf nations and redraw borders for decades. A rare 1908 photograph shows the Wright brothers' first public flight demonstration in France. Their fragile biplane is caught mid-air, with skeptical onlookers watching in disbelief. This moment proved that powered, controlled flight was no longer fantasy, but a reality that would soon transform transportation forever. In 1947, Mahatma Gandhi is shown quietly spinning thread on a traditional charkha wheel. This humble act symbolized Indian resistance to British rule, promoting self-reliance and peaceful defiance. Gandhi's simple spinning wheel became a powerful emblem of a nation's quest for independence. This 1943 photo reveals African American soldiers waiting at a segregated bus stop during World War II. Despite fighting bravely abroad, these men faced discrimination and inequality at home, a painful contradiction that fueled the push for civil rights in the decades ahead. In 1933, Nazi Germany staged book burnings to destroy literature considered un-German. This chilling photograph captures crowds watching as thousands of books by Jewish authors, communists, and dissenters are tossed into roaring flames, a violent assault on free thought and culture. A black family in 1950s Mississippi is pictured peering through the window of a whites-only diner. Their faces reflect a mix of longing and quiet defiance in a nation divided by segregation laws, a stark reminder of the daily injustices endured by African Americans in the Jim Crow South. Children play amid the rubble of London during the Blitz in 1940. Despite constant bombing raids and destruction, these moments of innocence and joy persisted. Their laughter and playfulness offered a fragile hope amid the horrors of war. The launch of Apollo 11 on July 16, 1969 is captured here. The massive Saturn V rocket ascends through a clouded sky as thousands watch in awe. This historic mission marked humanity's first journey to the moon, symbolizing courage, innovation, and the desire to explore the unknown. During World War I in 1917, women filled hazardous roles in munitions factories. This photo shows women covered in soot and grime, working long hours handling explosives. Their vital contribution broke social norms and helped sustain the war effort, changing perceptions of women's capabilities. A rare 1916 photo shows the enigmatic Rasputin shortly before his assassination. His intense, piercing gaze and wild beard contrast with the opulent surroundings, embodying the mystery and scandal that surrounded him as he influenced the final years of Russia's imperial family. In 1937, a Dust Bowl migrant family is shown loading their few possessions into a worn car as they head west seeking better opportunities. Their weary faces reflect the devastation caused by drought and economic collapse, part of a mass migration that reshaped America's heartland. Taken hours after her arrest in 1955, this powerful photo shows Rosa Parks being fingerprinted by authorities. Her calm, determined expression captured the quiet defiance that sparked the Montgomery bus boycott and energized the civil rights movement. This 1871 photo reveals the aftermath of Chicago's Great Fire. Thick smoke still lingers over charred ruins, with thousands of homes and businesses destroyed. The disaster displaced tens of thousands and forced the city to rebuild stronger and smarter. An American soldier accepts the surrender of a Japanese soldier in 1945. The defeated look in the Japanese man's eyes contrasts with the victorious posture of the American troops, symbolizing the brutal end of fierce fighting in the Pacific Theater. In 1934, infamous criminals Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow posed with their guns and getaway car. Their casual yet dangerous demeanor captured the bold, violent lives they led until their violent deaths in a police ambush just days later. A chilling photograph from Auschwitz shows a massive pile of victims' shoes. Each worn pair is a silent testament to thousands of lives stolen in the Holocaust. Ordinary people caught in one of history's darkest horrors. This 1905 photo captures construction workers building New York's Flatiron Building. Balancing hundreds of feet above the street without safety harnesses, these men displayed fearless courage that helped shape one of America's most iconic skylines. This 1939 photo shows children evacuated from London during World War II, clutching small suitcases as they are sent to safety in the countryside. Their innocent faces mask the fear of leaving home amid relentless bombing raids. Captured in 1927, this rare image reveals Charles Lindbergh moments before his historic non-stop solo flight across the Atlantic. His determined expression reflects the courage and ambition driving him to conquer the skies. This 1911 photograph shows workers constructing the Panama Canal, an engineering marvel that connected two oceans. The photo captures the grueling labor in tropical heat, disease, and dangerous conditions that thousands endured to complete this vital passage. A haunting 1944 photo from the liberation of a Nazi concentration camp shows survivors emaciated and frail, yet filled with a quiet strength. Their eyes tell stories of unimaginable suffering and the will to live. In 1903, this rare photo shows the first successful flight of the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Their fragile biplane barely clears the ground, marking a breakthrough that would transform transportation forever. This 1961 image captures the tense moment of the Berlin Wall's construction, as families are torn apart by concrete barriers and barbed wire, symbolizing the deep division of the Cold War. Men, women, and children are shown boarding trains, forced from their homes and sent to camps under suspicion and fear. This 1957 photo reveals the launch of Sputnik, the first artificial Earth satellite. It marked the dawn of the space age and intensified the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. Captured in 1918, this photo shows a soldier with severe facial injuries from World War I, wearing a pioneering prosthetic mask. It's a stark reminder of the war's physical and emotional scars. This 1933 image captures the inauguration of Adolf Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Crowds gather in uniform rows, marking the chilling rise of totalitarianism in Europe. A 1945 photograph shows American soldiers raising the flag on Iwo Jima's Mount Suribachi. The iconic image symbolizes bravery and sacrifice during one of the Pacific War's fiercest battles. This 1920 photo shows women celebrating the first US presidential election in which they could vote. Joy and pride are etched on their faces, a hard-won victory after decades of activism. Captured in 1947, this photo shows Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, stepping onto the field amid tense anticipation and historic significance. In 1963, this photo captures the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech. Thousands gathered, united in the fight for civil rights. This 1941 photo reveals the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Plumes of smoke and fire rise from the battleships, marking America's sudden entry into World War II. Captured in 1969, this photo shows Neil Armstrong's first step onto the lunar surface. His footprint and the American flag symbolize a giant leap for mankind. This 1910 image shows early automobiles sharing crowded city streets with horse-drawn carriages, capturing a moment of rapid technological and social change. This 1945 photograph captures the signing of the United Nations Charter, a hopeful step toward international peace after the horrors of World War II. A 1936 photo shows Jesse Owens crossing the finish line at the Berlin Olympics, defying Nazi ideology with his athletic prowess and winning 4 gold medals. This 1948 photo reveals the Berlin airlift, with planes delivering supplies to a city blockaded by Soviet forces, showcasing resilience amid Cold War tensions. Captured in 1919, this image shows the aftermath of the devastating Spanish flu pandemic, with rows of hospital beds and exhausted medical staff struggling to cope with millions of deaths worldwide. A 1954 photo shows the Supreme Court justices announcing Brown v. Board of Education, a landmark ruling ending racial segregation in American public schools. This 1939 image reveals the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, workers balancing on narrow beams high above the San Francisco Bay, embodying daring and innovation. Captured in 1942, this photo shows women proudly working in shipyards as part of the Rosie the Riveter campaign, symbolizing women's vital role in the war effort. A 1961 photo shows Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, waving to a crowd. His historic flight was a major Soviet triumph during the space race. This 1943 image shows Allied forces planning the D-Day invasion, the largest amphibious assault in history, which would turn the tide of World War II. Captured in 1917, this photo shows Russian soldiers amid the chaos of the revolution that would end centuries of imperial rule and change global politics. A 1968 photo reveals the iconic protest at the Mexico City Olympics, where athletes raised clenched fists in a powerful civil rights statement. This 1935 photo shows the construction of the Hoover Dam, a massive infrastructure project that brought electricity and water to the American West during the Great Depression. Captured in 1940, this image shows Winston Churchill delivering a defiant speech to rally Britain during its darkest hours in World War II. This 1898 photo shows American soldiers charging up San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War, a pivotal moment that marked the rise of the US imperial as a global power. Captured in 1929, this image shows the bustling floor of the New York Stock Exchange just before the Great Crash, a prelude to the Great Depression. This 1946 photo captures the first meeting of the United Nations General Assembly in London, a hopeful effort to prevent future global conflicts. A 1904 image shows workers digging the first tunnels for the New York City subway, a monumental engineering feat that transformed urban life. This 1912 photo reveals the Titanic moments before its tragic maiden voyage, filled with hopeful passengers unaware of the disaster ahead. Captured in 1937, this photo shows the bombing of Gernika during the Spanish Civil War, a horrific attack that inspired Picasso's famous painting. A 1950 image reveals soldiers in the Korean War crossing the frozen Chosin Reservoir, enduring brutal winter conditions in a fierce battle. This 1916 photo shows American women marching in suffrage parades, demanding the right to vote amid growing political unrest. Captured in 1944, this photo shows the liberation of Paris by Allied forces, as joyous crowds filled the streets celebrating freedom. A 1909 photo captures explorer Robert Peary returning from his Arctic expedition, claiming to have reached the North Pole. This 1933 image reveals Adolf Hitler's rise, as Nazi supporters rally in massive crowds, signaling the dark years ahead for Germany. Captured in 1947, this photo shows the first atomic bomb test at Trinity Site, ushering in the nuclear age with devastating consequences. A 1955 image captures Emmett Till's funeral, a heartbreaking symbol of the brutal realities of racial violence in America. This 1915 photo shows the construction of the Panama Canal locks, illustrating the incredible scale and difficulty of the project. Captured in 1939, this image shows the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a shocking non-aggression agreement between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. A 1942 photo reveals women working in aircraft factories, their determined faces reflecting the vital role they played in the war effort. This 1962 image shows the Cuban Missile Crisis naval blockade, the closest the world came to nuclear war during the Cold War. Captured in 1910, this photo reveals early aviation pioneers testing gliders, pushing the limits of human flight. This 1945 image shows the Potsdam Conference leaders, Truman, Churchill, and Stalin, making decisions that shaped post-war Europe. A 1936 photo captures Jesse Owens again, crossing the finish line to win gold at the Berlin Olympics, defying Nazi racial ideology. Captured in 1948, this photo shows the Berlin airlift in action, planes delivering life-saving supplies to blockaded West Berlin. A 1918 photo reveals soldiers recovering in hospital tents during the influenza pandemic, one of history's deadliest outbreaks. This 1954 image shows the Supreme Court announcing the Brown v. Board of Education decision, a landmark ruling against segregation. Captured in 1937, this photo shows the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, workers balancing high above the bay. A 1942 photo shows women embracing the Rosie the Riveter spirit, working tirelessly in wartime factories. This 1961 photo captures Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, greeting supporters after his historic flight. Captured in 1943, this photo shows Allied commanders planning the D-Day invasion, the turning point of World War II. Thanks for watching. If you want to uncover more hidden moments from history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video.